As I was trying to say before, let's go through Emiru here. And she talks a little bit about the things that happened at TwitchCon. I think we've covered that enough, so I'm going to probably skip past that. And we're going to put little good old Emmy here on 1.25 speed because of the way she talks. And she's obviously very nervous and stuff, so I can't blame her for that. But let's see if we can get to where we want to be here.
You know, like if something happens to me, it's gonna, they're gonna try to hide it, basically.
I think it's around 20 minutes in.
Today, I'm finally gonna be opening up about
there we go.
the psychological and domestic abuse, stalking and harassment, sexual assault, and threats of blackmail that Mizkif has done towards me, and some of these issues which are still ongoing. For the entirety of this year, I've attempted to separate myself from him and not talk about him at all, and not talk about this issue and just not make it a public thing. I always tried my best to keep this to myself, but like I said, I feel like it's gone to the point, which I'll explain later, that I feel like it just has to be done. And I have always believed in not condemning people or starting drama online. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be asking, why am I doing this and why now? And I would like to explain that before I get started so that people understand what prompted me to do this today and that it's not just on a whim or something like that. Okay, so like I said, I took a lot of notes, so forgive me if I just end up reading off my notes. The first and probably most severe reason is that one of the rules that I set for myself a long time ago about withholding this information was that if I ever felt like somebody else was in danger or being hurt, I would then make myself speak about it. And 2 weeks ago, actually 3 weeks ago now, I was informed by three...
Okay, I'm gonna stop there for just a second. I have kind of an issue with her rule here. If someone else gets hurt by it, then I will speak. When common sense would tell you, or at least me as a guy, that if you were to have said something in the first place, perhaps, and I'm just perhapsing here because it's not a guarantee, obviously, maybe it wouldn't have happened to the second person. If everybody knew what was going on, there's a pretty good chance anyway that this different person wouldn't have had to deal with this.
Separate people, one of whom was present for said incident. He had done something similar to something that he had done to me. And someone in LA at the end of September. And this person is not a streamer or content creator, but obviously that does not matter. And because of this, I cannot in good conscience sit here knowing that I know critical information about someone that almost no one else does and not say anything. I think that most issues and dramas should stay private and off the internet. And I still hold that belief to this day, and I will hold that belief going forward. However, there are certain things that cross the line, and I say that the line has been crossed too many times to be count.
See, in the whole too many times thing, what is too many times? I mean, is one time too many? 2, 12, 20?
There's a point where I believe that people deserve to know. I think that at a certain point, if you know a lot of things about someone and you don't say anything to look out for others, it's wrong. It's wrong to keep it to yourself. I don't want what happened to me or what has happened to other people because of him to happen to other people. And I don't believe he will ever stop behaving the way he does. But regardless, yeah, like I said, one of the main reasons I decided to do this stream is to come out about all of this because I can't hold on to it any longer because it feels wrong to do so. And an honorable mention reason for why I'm doing this is that for a while, he has been indirectly threatening me through my friends and people that I work with. They've informed me that he said that if I ever talked about anything he did, he would try to create a smear campaign against me in retaliation. I was told that he even approached other streamers who were close with us back when we lived together, asking them if they would join with him, and they all refused. At TwitchCon, he approached one of my employees, threatening them and saying if I ever talked about him, he would destroy me. Multiple people have told me that his plan was to claim that I kill animals and that I killed my own rabbits, since I had several of my rabbits pass away over the course of 3 years while I lived with him.
All right. I mean, excuse me. I don't put it past someone who's what's the word I'm looking for? Terminally online to the extent that a lot of these like big streamers are, because their life was lived online. And your brain kind of tends to fry to a certain point, I think. But I have a slight hard time, just a little bit of a hard time, believing that he would say that he's gonna accuse you of killing the rabbits, or her, sorry, of killing the rabbits. I'm at a with this. I'm at a gray kind of stop loss type of an area, because I have two minds, as you might say, with this. Okay, one, I sincerely hope that things like this don't happen. Unfortunately, they do happen to people. But two, even though yes, I do have around 1.25 speed, and this is kind of her normal speech pattern, her pitch, but it doesn't sound sincere. And that may be just because she's relying on her notes very heavily. And I'm going to chalk it up to the notes.
I'm sure he's probably listening now, and it's probably going to come as quite a shock to him that this...
That and the majority of people, hopefully men, you're not still at the point where you don't know this. I'm going to give you a little listen here. Women can make themselves sound very pathetic very quickly if they want to achieve something.
Information made its way back to me, and that I've known for months. But if you try to threaten me to stay quiet, especially using my poor dead animals, I'm not going to stay quiet. Okay. So now that I've explained all the reasons why this took so long, and why I made the decision to do this stream, I have a few more things I would like to get out of the way before I start talking about all of this. The way that I'm going to do this today is I'm going to run through everything from the beginning to the end to try to get across the story as accurately and fully as I can. And, hold on. Also, we're going to be showing a few screenshots validating what I'm saying. I have more things, but this is what I felt comfortable.
Wow. She's okay. She's bringing receipts. Okay. I'm all for it. Bring receipts, girl.
Comfortable using today. And, I will be running through those later. Another thing that I'd like to mention before I start is that during my statement, I'm going to be mentioning directly the names of about half a dozen other creators who were present for certain things. And I want to say that none of these people did anything wrong. I'm just saying that they were there, and I've asked all of them permission. They all said that it was fine to include their names, but
This is another issue I have with these things. And I don't think it's not a blaming Emiru issue. It's not a blaming any particular creator issue or anything like that. It's an issue I have as a whole with a lot of these spaces. And I've seen it happen in the workplace. And I guess you could say these are workplaces, so I guess it's one and the same. That when people see something that is highly disturbing, they think, maybe I shouldn't be the one to say something. It's okay if I don't say anything, because someone else will. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the next person thinks the exact same thing you just thought. well, it's okay if I don't say anything because the next person will. It's it'd be like if you're driving along the road and you see a poor, defenseless little kitten on the median of the road, right? And you're like, well, I don't have time to stop. I really wish I did, but I'm pretty sure someone behind me will. Yeah, and maybe they will. Maybe that poor little putty cat will get lucky and someone behind you will stop and give that innocent little creature a home. But you know what's more likely to happen? Yeah, squish.
I know this won't stop everyone, but I ask people for the streamers that I mentioned, please don't go bothering them or asking them for more information. If there's something else that they want to say, they'll say it themselves, so there's no point to go pester them and bother them about it. There are also streamers who gave me permission to share things that they relayed to me privately, but asked me to redact their names, which I, of course, did. And the last thing that I want to make clear is that not every person that I interact with or that I'm friends with knew the extent of all of these things, and in fact, most of them didn't, and some of them didn't even know anything at all. I tried to keep things private with my close friends, but if anyone during the past year ever approached me asking questions, I didn't lie and I told them the truth. But yeah, I don't want there to be some kind of witch hunt like, oh, you know, you knew and this, no, a lot of people, you know, didn't know everything or didn't know anything. Okay, I think that's all that I have to get out of the way to start. So, this is public information. I initially moved in, sorry, I'm still sick, like I said. Okay. This is all public, obviously this part. I moved in with him, I believe it was the end of 2021, because he offered. I was living alone at the time, and I was having stalker issues in Kansas, and I mean, you guys know like all the stuff that happened there. I ended up joining the org and everything. We did a lot of streams together, and I mean, a lot of people already know this, but I'm just gonna come out and say it. We started dating. We were in a relationship starting January 2022, after I joined OTK. I'm not planning to go into too much detail about the start of the relationship because it honestly doesn't really matter at this point. It's irrelevant now. The only things that really matter.
Yeah, and honestly, not only is the start of the relationship irrelevant, it's nobody's business, really.
That you guys need to know for the story are that it was, one, an extremely private relationship. It was even hidden from friends and people in the org, but I mean, obviously people all eventually figured it out. They're not fucking stupid. And second, it was an extremely codependent relationship, which it's not the issue, but let's just, you know, making that clear for details. He initially portrayed himself to me as someone who was very nice to girls and wanted to help me feel safe from stalkers and wanted me to succeed as a teammate. And we grew very close over time, and I was very dependent on him for feelings of safety, social life, like my stream, my job, everything. So yeah, besides it being a very codependent relationship, the start of it was fine. I saw a lot of people mentioning this. They thought this was what I was going to talk about. It's not a secret. I think everyone who paid attention knew that he was very controlling over what I wore, to a degree, who I was friends with, and even when I would stream.
Okie dokie. I got a little maybe pushback to say about the controlling part. I need some context here, okay? Because, oh, I'm gonna sound so misogynist here, and I don't care. But I need a little context on this, okay? If he was mad that you wore regular clothes, And by regular clothes, I mean shorts and a t-shirt, or, uh, what she's wearing now, this sweatshirt or whatever. Okay, maybe a bit much. But if you're dressing like a skank, he's sorry, but in my humble opinion as a guy, he's got a right to be a little annoyed with that. As if you're showing off to other men, we have a little bit of a right to be kind of annoyed. And women, ladies, the same goes the other way around. Okay? Now, for some reason I don't, and I'm not including her cosplay stuff, because, dude, you could, with a lot of her cosplay, some of that stuff is pretty tight fitting, but it's not meant to, at least I don't think in her mind it's meant to go, ooh, this is like, I'm gonna put my tits out there kind of thing. So I'm not including that. I just mean general everyday clothing, really. And I'm gonna give you a little hint here. I'm gonna give you a little lesson on how men think, and many of us won't admit this, okay? But unless a guy, and yes, men and women can be friends. I'm not going to say that that's not possible. It's entirely possible, okay? There's entirely a possibility that your guy friend doesn't want to fuck you. It's entirely possible. I mean, it's about as likely as an ice cube forming in the Arizona desert at 102 degrees, but it's entirely possible. That or he full well knows he's been friend zoned, and he full well knows that if he tried, you'd go tell your husband or boyfriend or whoever it may be, and they would beat the ever living piss out of him. That's it. That's the line. So other guys, we know this about other guys, and we kind of tend to be a little annoyed when women are friends with guys when we're in a relationship. Is it a good thing to have our brains think that way? Probably not. But if you admit that's how your brain thinks, you can work past that. Anyway, moving on back to Emmy.
So, when it was definitely slow over time that bad things started happening. At the start, it would be things like, for example, he would.
Oh, yes, and the whole men having morals thing, that probably helps quite a bit too there.
He would throw bottles, like plastic bottles with liquid in it, not like glass bottles, at me, despite me telling him, like, I didn't like it and it scared me and I bruise very easily. He would throw his phone at me. I would tell him, it scared me, I don't like it. And one time it even hit me in the eye, which caused me to get a black eye, but he always...
All right. 1, 2, don't throw your phone at people. I mean, I can see like an empty water bottle as a joke or whatever, just kind of tossing it at her like, oh, haha, here you go, kind of thing. But your phone? That's just dumb. Like, no. Take the fact out. You're throwing a telephone at a dainty girl. What if it misses and you shatter on the wall? God, I hope we won't draw that hard. Anyway, moving on.
It was like, oh, it's an accident, and I was like, oh yeah, it's an accident. Like, of course I'm not gonna think that.
Yes, picking up your phone and chucking it at your girlfriend is an accident.
He's... Yeah, I just... At the time, I just kind of was, I just brushed it off, and looking back now, I feel like that was kind of the start of him testing my boundaries, if that makes sense. So that was already kind of starting to show signs within the first 6 months of me and him being close, and then again, a very public situation. The end of 2022, the cover-up allegations happened. I mean, yeah, like I said, all that's public. You can find all that, see like what I said during that, everything. After that happened, his behavior started getting a lot worse, which, I mean, I suppose it makes sense. You know, he was very stressed. A lot of stuff was happening, but the bad behavior was ramping up, and I feel like it's so apparent if, like, you know, you go back and watch anything from that time. I tried so hard to help him and be there for him because I really believed in him, and
See, and I know that there are people out there, right, men and women, who are going to ask the question, well, why didn't she just leave him then? If she saw that things were so bad, why didn't she just leave him? I'm going to tell you why. At least what I have observed in my life as to why, anyway. Because when you think that there's something you can do, you stay. It's that simple. You think, boy, I can change him, I can help him. I can change her, I can help her. There's something I can do. If I leave this relationship and I say something to someone, that means I'm giving up. And I can't be a quitter. That's basically what goes through people's minds when they're in that type of relationship. There's something I can do. There's something I should have done. It's not their fault this happened. It's my fault this happened. And it doesn't matter what sex you are. It doesn't matter if you're the woman in the relationship going through this. It doesn't matter if you're the guy going through this same thing. It's all the same thing.
I wanted him to, you know, get better and get back on his feet and be the person that, you know, I always believed that he was. But that, unfortunately, did not really happen. For a long time, I think about a year and a half from when that all happened, it was kind of like slow things getting worse. But I mean, honestly, I'm not even gonna bother going into the details of all of that because there's just too much to cover, and it's honestly kind of not really relevant to the rest of what I'm saying because the rest of what I want to say is a lot worse. There was a point where things really took a turn for the worst. Like, it felt like, you know, like a very delicate branch just kind of snapped. So, and again, a lot of people are like vaguely aware of this, but I'll explain it for people who aren't, you know, chronically tapped into all that stuff.
Not like me. Please do.
So for a long time after the like cover-up allegations happened and he was like starting to kind of struggle on his stream, he never wanted to stream at the same time as me. Like, we really avoided it. And to me at the time it made sense because, you know, I was like, well, of course, like, you know, we share a lot of community members. If we're live at separate times, we're both going to perform better. You know, it makes sense. But yeah, we were never really live doing the same thing at the same time for a long time, with the exception of like things like events or sponsors or like, you know, just special things.
I'm going to guess that when they were live together, she had the majority of the viewers because, well, I'm just going to say it. The vast majority of people who watch streams are guys, especially on Twitch. And, well, as a guy, what would you rather look at on your screen while you're watching a stream and maybe multitasking with homework or whatever the deal might be? A pretty girl. And, since how, as far as I'm aware, I don't watch Emiru streams, so I cannot say I know this for sure. A lot of her streams have her in costumes, Some of those costumes might be a little tight. And while she may not be sexualizing herself, a lot of men are going to see that and do it for her. So, I can see why possibly she would have more viewers. Am I correct in this? Maybe, maybe not. Did I react a little too soon? Probably.
For a very long time, and a lot of you guys probably noticed that I would only usually stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. That was because of him. And now I stream whenever I want, but the first time that we ever streamed at the same time was for the 2024 Rust Kingdoms event on Twitch. We were sharing drops, so it was the first time in a very long time that we were both going to be live at the same time doing the same thing, basically. I know you're probably like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? But it'll make sense in a bit. So I'm live, he's live, we're both streaming, and like I said, you can go find all of this. This is public, there are clips of this. We're both streaming the Rust event, and I thought it was going really well. I thought everyone was having fun. I was like, oh, this is great. Everyone's, doing the same thing at the same time. We're all hanging out, we're gonna have fun. Like, I was really, really excited. And then I start seeing in my chat, people start saying, unofficial Ms. Raid, and I'm like, what does that mean? And then I check my Discord messages, and he's messaging me. He's saying, like, Emmy, I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna KMS. I waited so long for this, etc. Basically, he was upset because I had higher viewership than him. That's literally it. I had higher viewership than him. And like I said, this is during an event, so there were drops. Like, everyone knows when there's drops, like, it's not even fucking real, but yeah, he starts messaging me, he's really upset. I tried to tell him, I was like, bro, you should come back and play. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's like wondering where you are. But yeah.
Is that... Now, this might be because a response from her because she's had to deal with so much of a shit. But me, personally, if my significant other, and they were still significant others at the time, were to message me, I don't know why you do it on Discord, but whatever, were to message me in any way, shape, or form and say, hey, I think I'm going to off myself. I'm going to jump off the proverbial Minecraft cliff, if you will. I would have to at least pause my stream, and get up, especially if they're just in the other room, and walk over and be like, hey, you okay? At least get some type of visual confirmation on them, rather than just message back, let's game. I get it though, she probably had dealt with similar BS from him for a while, so maybe she was just tired of it.
He ended his stream, and then I'm still live, trying to act like nothing's wrong. And in that house, I had a glass door, so I could see this was happening. He was walking behind me, making sure that I knew he was there. And by the way, so there were many ways out of that house if he wanted to leave the house that were closer to his stream room. He intentionally chose the door that was right by my room. I feel like that's pretty apparent, at least to me. He starts walking behind my stream and slamming the door so loud that my noise gate can pick it up, so even people on my stream are able to hear this is happening. And he slams it so hard and so many times that the front door...
Yeah, I don't think people realize how awesome the noise gate is. Okay, because, my office / streaming area or whatever is right against a major road. The road is literally 10 feet from my wall, I guess you'd say. And for the most part, you can't hear shit, which is fucking great.
Literally broke. The lock did not work anymore. It didn't work for months, and it would just make this horrible sound that I would have to hear like every fucking day. But anyway, so I hear him back there doing this, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I tell my stream, I'm like, hey, guys, I'll be right back. I get up and I go talk to him, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, Emmy, like, I hate all you guys. Like, all you guys do is just take from me, and like, I'm just done. Like, I'm just done. And I was like, is this like really happening because of rush drops? And he was like, I don't know what else to do. He was like going off on me, like basically saying that he hated me. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do now. And he was like, go finish your stream so that people don't know anything's wrong. And I stop in the bathroom outside my stream room, and I'm like, you know, checking my makeup, trying to make sure people can't tell that I was like crying. And I'm only in there for like 30 seconds, and he comes and like looms in the doorway. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just checking my makeup. So I go back and I stream for a couple hours to finish the stream, do my best to just like, you know, carry on the show basically. And yeah, after that, like I said, was when things started to get really fucking bad. It was like something just snapped. For the rest of the week, he streamed the Rust event. He got all the drop viewers. I'm sure he was very happy. I mean, good for him. And during that time, I obviously was like thinking and processing a lot of what happened. But I mean, it was a lot because this person was at the time like kind of it was like my partner and my best friend, and like the only person that like I really talked to ever, or like at least off stream. So I mean, it was a lot. But the very next stream, I went live about a week after that, and I announced that I was planning to move because I knew that I would have to move. So I was like, okay, I have to go live and say this so that, you know, kind of force myself to commit to it, right? Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, it does make actually some kind of sense to be to say it out loud so people could actually hold her accountable if she doesn't do it. So okay, yeah.
Obviously, I didn't move out right away, but after like all of that Rust stuff happened was when the other domestic abuse stuff really started. He would destroy furniture in front of me. He would throw things in front of me and near me. Destroy walls. Again, you can go see this in some of his VODs in his bedroom, the holes in the wall. There would be times where he was upset at me, and I would go to my stream room and literally lock myself in to get away from him. And he would be banging on the door and screaming at me. And at the time, he also would more often do things like going, like if we were driving in the car together, he would be going like 150 miles an hour. And like one time he even said like, well, now we're both.
All right, I want to know what the hell car he's driving, because the vast majority of consumer vehicles will not go 150 miles an hour. The speedometer says they will, but the vast majority of them won't. It must have been a really nice car.
Gonna die, like threatening to kill both of us. And this wasn't like even necessarily because of me.
But then again, I did once manage to get a station wagon up to 120 miles an hour or so because I was annoyed. So, and that was probably not the best thing to do. Yeah.
Or like because of something I did a lot of the time. Like one of the times that it happened, it was because we were just getting food, and he was on his phone, and he saw that Mr. Beast had put out a video, and Mr. Beast had invited another streamer, and he was like, oh, Mr. Beast invited this guy to his video, not me. And I was like, oh, well, you know, like, huh, yeah, I guess so. Which led to him going 150 miles per hour in the car and talking about killing himself while doing it. And then at home,
I mean, I guess being in a Mr. Beast video would be good advertising, maybe, but okay.
other things would happen, like I'd be trying to sleep and he would scream at me and say that it was all my fault that he felt insecure. There was a time that I walked into a room that he was in, and as soon as he saw me there, he threw his phone at the dresser and started yelling because I had posted a YouTube video within the same couple of days as him, and mine was doing better. So basically, I felt like I was kind of stuck in a loop where I felt like I had to constantly perform and like prove my value to not be thrown away. But at the same time, if I ever performed too well, I was gonna be punished for it. And it just felt like a very...
But she said punished, right? Not punched.
YouTube video within the same couple of days as him, and mine was doing better. So basically, I felt like I was kind of stuck in a loop where I felt like I had to constantly perform and like prove my value to not be thrown away. But at the same time, if I ever performed too well, I was gonna be punished for it.
Okay, yeah, punished. Okay. I just had to make sure I heard that correctly.
And it just felt like a very rough situation to be stuck in because, I mean, streaming is my hobby and my job. Like, it's a huge part of my life, even before, you know, I met him and became, like, a larger creator. And I remember thinking all the time how it felt like he hated me, but he still wanted me around for his channel and, like,
He wanted to control.
his thumbnails and everything. And this is still before I moved out. There was a time where it was the tension in the house was so unbearable that I would sneak out and I would sneak into Esfan's house using my code. And Esfan didn't know why I was doing this. He saw me a couple times. I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna go take a nap in your guest room. He'd be like, yeah, that's fine. I would sneak into Esfan's house just to have some time of like peace and quiet. But eventually he figured out where I was going and he would go over to Esfan's house to keep telling me off. And there was a time that he did it, and I was laying in the guest room bed, and one of the roommates in that house had come to see like why I was crying, and they were standing in the corner, and he came in, and he was very physically aggressive. He was like, Emmy, like, what are you doing? Like, angry. And then as soon as he turned and saw this other person standing there, he instantly like deflated and changed his tone. He was like, oh, Emmy, I was wondering where you were. Like, are you coming home?
What do you want to bet that the other person who walked in and saw Mizkif behaving this way was a man? Because it's weird how when guys are abusive like this, and another man, and I mean a man, not another guy, another man, walks in the room, how quickly their behavior changes.
And that roommate like later asked me about it, and they're like, what the fuck was that? Like, are you okay? And I was just like, oh, it's nothing, because I felt like a lot of the reason that I didn't tell the people around me was because I felt like no one would understand, or even if they understood, it would just be a burden to them, because all of our streams and social circles and communities are so intertwined. I was like, maybe it's just better for me to deal with this and like hope things get better, basically. I honestly don't even remember what the final straw was that I finally was like, okay, it's time to go. Like, I prepared the house that I lived in before this one, like, pretty much immediately after the, like, breaking the front door thing happened, but I was still, like, scared and unsure. So I don't remember what the final straw was, but I remember the day I took Cheddar to the house, because he just randomly started, like, screaming at Cheddar and was like, get that fucking cat out of my house. So I
Okay, I'm not much of a cat guy, but Cheddar, come on. I'm not oh, that's adorable guy, but that's an adorable name for a fucking cat, okay? I've never seen this cat. Is the cat orange like cheddar cheese? Because that would be just awesome.
I just grabbed Cheddar and put him in my car and grabbed his litter box and took him there, and I just left him there and never took him back to that house. And then I think like within several days after that was when I finally moved out. It was on very short notice. Like I said, I don't even remember what the final straw was because so many things happened, but there was a time when I just knew. I called some movers. I said, hey, can you come tomorrow? And they're like, yeah, and then I literally moved.
And I've got a feeling that she probably does know what that final straw was, because if something's the final thing to make you snap and say, fuck this, I'm out, you're probably going to remember that. But she doesn't seem like she wants to say what that is.
Moved the next day. Moving out into the last house that I lived in was a huge step mentally, because, like I said, a big part of why I moved into the first house in Texas in the first place was because I felt like it was the safest option for me, because, you know, I am a girl where it's like kind of scary for me to be living alone. So it was very hard, and at the time, even though like all these other things had already happened, I was very hopeful that me and him could be cordial and like eventually like things would be fine, at least publicly, like for stream reasons, that, you know, everyone could just keep streaming like nothing had happened. And, you know, at the time I thought that would be the best thing to do, and I felt like if I, you know, separated myself from him without explaining anything, people that watched us wouldn't understand and would attack me. I was yeah, I mean, it ended up happening anyway, so.
Yeah, I was just saying, the more likely thing that's going to happen is, even if she comes out and explains herself during the time, there's still going to be an orbiter for Mizkif that's going to come out and go, well, it's all your fault, and I'm going to attack you even though I have no idea what's actually going on.
But, yeah. After I moved out, we, like I said, still kept in contact. I had hope that somehow things would get better. He would always beg for me to come back, and he would promise therapy and change, and like even talk to other people and like kind of present like, oh, I want to change, I want to be better for Emmy or whatever, you know. There was a short period in October where we had broken up because, I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter now. And when that happened, I honestly felt relieved, because I was like, okay, finally, it's like on his terms, so that means he'll be satisfied and he'll be able to say it was his choice, and he'll leave me alone. Because whenever I would try to push for it, it just...
Yeah, unfortunately, that's never how that works. It was his choice until he makes it your choice, or until he decides that he made the wrong choice and he wants to go back the way it was.
Felt like I couldn't like really sever it, if that makes sense. But I mean, obviously, hence me doing the stream, that was not the end of it. A week after this breakup, he asked to come over to my house and talk from closure. He came to my house and...
Which right there, I mean, you know full well that the guy's not wanting to come over and talk for quote-unquote closure. I'm sorry, I can't really give a lot of gray area there. If a guy is done, he's done, and he doesn't care about you no more, he moves on with his life. That's just how this works. The closure thing was because he was trying to slip back into those DMs, if you know what I mean.
I was crying like crazy because the emotions were just very high, because I was dealing with a lot of major shifts in my life as a result of me attempting to start to try to distance myself from him. So yeah, we were just talking and I was crying a lot. He started to try to comfort me by hugging me while I was sitting on the couch and holding me really close to him. And when this was happening, we hadn't talked in quite a while, and I'm usually very uncomfortable with being touched a lot by people that I'm not in a relationship with. But I let him hold me while I was crying. And he started kissing me in my face, and I let him do it. I was still sobbing a lot. And then, suddenly, he tried to climb on top of me and aggressively shoved his hand down my pants. And, I screamed. Yeah. And when I screamed, he jumped off me like a cat, like, And instead of apologizing or checking if I was okay, he said, "I feel weird now. I feel like I did something wrong. I have to go." And he immediately left my house while I was still crying.
Okay. Ah. Ooh, how to unpack that? Uh. Okay. This is gonna sound like I'm doing the victim blaming thing here. And that is not my intention. I'll be very clear about that. Um, I I do believe that this is a situation of sexual assault. And the part that makes it assault to me is the aggressively shoving hand down pants part. Okay? And that's a little bit of a big jump from kissing on the face to shoving hand down pants. Now, the way I'm hearing is she basically said she was uncomfortable with him doing the kissy face thing. So why allow him to go that far in the first place? I have questions about that. But I am not at all saying that this was not assault. I'm saying that it probably could have been stopped before it happened. But then again, so was a lot of things in the world that just could have been stopped before it happened, right? So I get the luxury of talking about it afterward, after things happen to people. So I get that. Also, though, yes, I'm going to reiterate, hand down pants. I was going to say probably not a good thing, but no, most definitely not a good move, dude. You know, to go from, well, shit, kissing on the face isn't even on getting on base. That's like bringing cookies to the dugout or some shit. I don't know, but some really cool sports analogy. Just insert that right there, okay? Um, but the fact that she reacted negatively and he took that as his sign to get up and get out is still a good thing. Should she had to have reacted that way because of the situation? No. But he took it as a sign to get up and get out. And what else in the moment are you supposed to do? You jump off and go, oh shit, I fucked up. I feel weird now. Which obviously you would. Unless you're an absolute creepiloid, you would feel kind of weird. And you'd be like, okay, the best thing for me to do would be to get the fuck out. GTFO. Go bye-bye, toodaloo. Now, should he maybe have texted her or called her or tried to talk to her at a later time and said, hey, I'm sorry. I totally read this entire situation the wrong way. I did a bad. What can I do to make it up to you? What can I do as a man to make things better? But then again, there is the whole shoving the hand down the pants part. So that does kind of take away a bunch of what I just said.
Without checking if I was okay or anything. And at the time, I was still making excuses for him, and I was still afraid of causing trouble for other streamers around us, or like, you know, making things weird for viewers. I know that probably sounds crazy, but like I just felt this pressure, like I had to try to keep things together, if that makes sense. I felt like I'd cause trouble for so many other people if I ever said anything bad about him, or if I caused rifts in our friend group or streamer group. I tried to stay on good terms with him and hold everything in, and also I still cared about him a lot, and I still at that point had hope that things would get better and that, you know, he would improve. And he'd also always hammer into me how he never physically abused me because he never hit me, and he would coach me and tell me to tell people or other streamers who were asking about it because they were concerned. He would say,
yeah, and that is another big thing I have seen as well, is the I never hit you. I never put my hands on you. I may tell you you're useless. I may tell you that if you leave me, I'll do something. I may, as she stated before, hit walls and break things in front of you so you can see exactly how big and strong I am and what I could do to you if I chose to. But I, so benevolent me, choose not to do this to you. So I'm not abusing you. I'm just telling you what I could do. I've seen that play out in relationships that are thankfully not my own. Yeah, not a good thing.
he'd say, tell them that I never hit you. Make sure that they know that I never hit you. Around the same time, this was during OnlyFans 2, so I guess like December-ish. He would often message me in the middle of my streams and berate me for things like playing the same class as him in WoW because he thought it would make people think that I was better than him. And again, like I said earlier,
because you probably were better than him.
I felt like I was stuck in a constant loop where I had to perform well to not be thrown away, but if I performed too well, I was going to be punished. And I actually wanted to show some of those messages because obviously a lot of these things, yeah, I'm not gonna fully read these out because I honestly just don't want to read them out, but I feel like I want to show them to like kind of show.
All right, let's see the receipts.
What I'm saying. And I am planning to probably post the VOD of this somewhere, so if, you know, you want to read this later, that's fine, I guess.
You can make them all small so I can't see them?
And again, this was all happening while I was live. You can literally go find the stream and see me trying to deal with this while I'm live in the middle of a dungeon, trying to just play the fucking game. Oh fuck, I think I...
Alright, let's go full screen so I actually see these maybe. There we go. What is this? Can you see my cursor? I think you can. Mizkif, dude, don't dude me. I asked for one thing with you. Don't be a tank, and now you're tanking. What can I do? Be a tank? It's not like her being a tank makes it so you can't do it, but okay.
Tank, Emmy, do it. Let me handle all the hate, the criticism. That you're worse than Emmy's. The Emmy is so much better. The people saying you're better in every chat. The comparison says nobody will ever be on my side. Let me deal with it. You have fun. I asked you not to become a tank. You didn't listen. And now it's the classic, what was I supposed to do? I'm not dealing with this. And like I said, you can go find the stream. But for context, I was playing Warrior in World of Warcraft in like a level 24 dungeon. It was like Silverpine. Like, it was just like, it wasn't even like, it was like dog shit gameplay, I'm gonna be honest. Like, so, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say, well, if that's really what happened, that's some bitch-made shit, but that's apparently, by the receipts she's showing, He's throwing a tissy fit because she played the same class as him, and people were more impressed with her, as in her own words, shitty gameplay than his. That is seriously some bitch-made shit, dude.
Yeah, you can read that later, I suppose. If yeah, like I said before, shit, hold on. I was constantly trying so hard to compromise with him because I wanted to be cool and I wanted us to be able to coexist in the same streaming sphere. But I felt like I could never win, and he hated my whole existence. Like ever since that one stream where I had like a little bit more viewers than him. And he would say that it was my fault that his stream was dying because most of his viewers liked me, and whenever he hit on another girl, they would be confused or not take it seriously because they knew that me and him were together privately. And he said if he would...
Whenever he hit on another girl, they would take it not seriously because they knew they were together privately. As in, like a normal human being should do. Right? Ladies, if you know a guy is in a relationship, you probably shouldn't take when he hits on you as a good thing. In fact, this might be a bad thing. It may just show the type of character he has, or lack thereof character. Now, although I do have to say very clearly, there is a very fine line, a very distinct fine line between actually hitting on someone and being flirty, okay? I'm a very flirty type of guy, all right? I am more likely to look at a woman and say something like, "Oh, hey, gorgeous, what's going on?" You know, things like that. That's just my form of speak, though. That's not me trying to bang the woman.
be able to hit on other girls and convince them that it was real, he would get his career back. That was like started within the last couple of weeks that we spoke to each other. He started saying terrible things to me about other streamers in Austin. In particular, one specific streamer who I know there's a lot of people that know he has beef with certain streamers. It was not one of those streamers. It was someone who to this day has been nothing but nice to him. He would say horrible things about this person, like about them in their stream, and it was very hard to listen to. And just in general, he would say horrible things about other streamers in Austin, like, I quote, "I hate everyone here. You are all useless to me. You're worthless to me because it does nothing for my stream anymore to collab with any of you." And him saying that was the final straw for me.
I mean, if you're... How do I say this and not come across as a total fucking dickhead? What you're doing is a business, okay? Streaming, when you're making money at it, it's a business. And you have to do things that benefit your business. You're streamers, you're not friends. I hate when everybody thinks that in order to stream together, you always have to be like the bestest of friends and shit. In order to collaborate with people, you guys all, everybody's got to be buddy and happy. It's just not the case. Would I like that to be the case? Yes. Will I ever do a collaboration with anybody? Probably. I'd like to. If it's fun. If they want to play a fun game or talk about topics we can kind of pitch back and forth to each other, shit like that, yeah. Sure. And maybe I'll get lucky enough and that person, whether they are a fleshy tuber, which is just the worst words to me, but whatever, use a PNG model or a VTuber model or whatever, yeah, sure, it would be great to become friends with those people. But are you friends really in the start? No, it's a business. And if you're not gonna, if you have to do things that help your business, and yeah, I would be annoyed too if I was going on all these collaborations or whatever and it wasn't helping my business when I could be doing something else that would help my business.
The day that he said that to me about other people was the first day that I ever, for the first time, started to ignore his calls and messages. And because of that, he even threatened to come to my house if I didn't answer. But I did end up calling him back, and I spoke to him, and I basically told him that I felt like I could finally see things for what they were. And he started panicking, and he was super apologetic, and he was saying he didn't want to lose me, which wasn't the first time that he like did something like that and was like, you know, basically begging me not to leave. But that was definitely the most extreme time. And again, like I said, I always had the hope that things would be cordial or that, you know, we could be fine with each other. So I agreed, and we agreed we were going to talk about all of that. We talked about it about a week later, and instead of apologizing for anything, he basically told me that he realized he needed to go to Japan and LA to get his viewership back up, and he was basically too young to focus on friendships and relationships. And
Basically too young to be a man, okay.
it was I mean, despite everything, like I said, I still cared about him, so it was still hard. And I mean, it was like a mix of feelings, you know, like I was devastated, but I was also so relieved. But because of the past incidents during like other fights and times I would try to separate myself from him, past incidents during those times of him manipulating me into staying close with him and giving him more chances, sexually assaulting me, the abuse, and just him generally not being a very nice person. After that, I decided that the only solution and way for me to move forward, I made the hard decision, but I know now for sure the right one, was to finally completely cut contact with him. I knew it'd be very hard because our careers and our communities were so intertwined, but I knew that I had to do it and that there was no other choice. So I have not spoken to him since January of this year. It's been 10 months. But if you think that's the end, it is
And honestly, well, it's definitely not the end, obviously, but yeah, her best option is to just completely cut off contact. And yeah, I could see how, though, it would be really hard, especially because that's such a bubble of a workplace type community that would be so very hard. Because what if she had said something to someone like, "Oh yeah, I'll collaborate with you, right? I'll be happy to do that, but you know, because of personal reasons, I can't have Mizkif on here too. Are you okay with that?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, no problem, Bob. We're good, we're awesome." And then she pops on to do whatever collaboration it may be, game, whatever, and all of a sudden, he's also there. So I can see how that could be difficult.
unfortunately not. I haven't spoken to him since January of this year. It only took a couple of weeks, but soon the messages started. He has attempted to contact me over 40 times individually this year in individual texts, Discord messages, Instagram DMs, and phone calls. And I'm just gonna show those. And at first,
Now I'm going to assume that she's probably going to say stalking here, by the way I think it's going. And I don't know. I'm not sure. So far it's just the messages. Okay, he hasn't shown up at anywhere, just out of the blue. You know, physically shown up somewhere and done some stupid shit. I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna be coming up here, but I'm just going off of what I know right now for sure. Is he's doing the message thingy all the time. Is that stalking? When you could literally just mute him and deny him even being able to get the messages to you anyway, is that stalking? I'm gray area here. I'm asking an actual question. I'm leaning toward maybe not, but like I said, it's a pretty gray area to me.
At first, it starts simple, be confusing messages or like him expressing he was worried about things. Like first, it wasn't anything weird.
Oh. Okay, slight little side thing here. Okay, I kept looking at the start bar at the bottom and thought that was my start bar. So I'm looking over at OBS thinking, why the hell I don't have the display capture on? Why is it showing that? And then I look down here in the corner there and I realize, oh yeah, wait, duh, full screen.
This is not someone who loves or cares about you.
All right, let's. Oh, no, can we go back just a tad here? Let's kind of go through what. Let's pick a random here. Emmy, can we talk, please? I really need to tell you things. I'm sorry for the past few months. I'm sorry. That happened. That anytime. See here. I want so much with you. Please just hear me out. This is please call me. I'll be up. I will do anything for you. This is not someone who actually, yeah. This is not someone who cares for you. This is someone who is, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not really just the controlling thing. It's desperation. So it's someone who is desperate to make things the way they think they should be.
This is not someone who loves or cares about you.
See, it's weird considering we're both also the same, that we're just not talking to each other. Well, you're not the same, but okay. Let's see here. Wait, okay, so this, all right, yeah, okay. Now I'm a little more on board with the stalking thing, okay? From what I'm gathering here, from what I'm seeing, and, I am Gen Xy boomer type guy, so I could be seeing wrong, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, please. It appears to me that he has gone and taking a video of her, video or picture, of her while she was unaware that he was there and used it to message her. That is some stocky shit to me. We talk, please. Yeah, same things. Okay.
And keep in mind, this is only things that he sent to me. I can't document all the things that people told me that he was saying. And, it's just kind of a funny side note, I guess.
But it does look like, too, on here, at least what she's shown, that she didn't respond to him, so that's a good thing.
I would like to highlight this message. Because, doesn't really matter, but I ran it through the ChatGPT checker, and all the highlights, like I said, doesn't really matter. I just thought it was interesting.
Go back to that.
And, it's just kind of a funny side note, I guess. I would like to highlight this message.
Okay. Not a day goes by in the last 4 months, whatever. Oh, okay. So it sounds like he probably went into ChatGPT or Grok or whatever and said, hey, here's what I want to say, make it better. Is it the best thing to do? Probably not. But if you're not super good with your words, is it probably helpful? A little bit. I mean, I'm going to break the fourth wall here, but when it comes to the scripted videos, I write a script and I run it through ChatGPT. I also run it through Gronk, and I have it look for grammatical errors and spelling, so I don't, say Farfignugan when I meant Farfigflugen. You know what I mean? So stuff like that, okay. Just don't use it to actually speak for you.
Because, doesn't really matter, but I ran it through the ChatGPT checker, and all the highlights, like I said, doesn't really matter. I just thought it was interesting. But, yeah, like I said at first, the messages were just simple things, like, him saying he was worried about things, or saying no one was talking to him, which I don't think was even true at the time. I think he was just saying that to try to guilt me into responding to him. I'm not sure about that, of course. This also extended to in-person interactions, because initially I made the
Wait, okay, I don't know if you saw that on you probably didn't see that on my thing for Kick, my chat pop out, but it literally told me that Asmongold was live. Like, I need to be told that Asmongold is live while I'm live on my fucking thing. Whatever, moving on.
mistake of thinking that I only had to cut him off through private communication, and, we would be fine going to the same events and parties and such. I also had to start... Hold on, I'm still fucking sick. I made the mistake of thinking that I only had to cut him off through personal, private communication.
Also, I like that she probably has the money for, like, fancy bottled water, but she buys the store brand cheap ass crap because she knows money's important.
But I also had to start avoiding going to the same parties or places I was worried he'd be in person. Because this was after he came back from his first trip to Japan. There was a party that I attended several months after I first went into contact with him. I was aware that he would be there, and I thought it'd be fine. I thought it wouldn't be a big deal. I thought I'll just let him have his space. I'll have my space. It's not a big deal. We're adults, right? During this party, I felt like he was following me around and monitoring me, but I thought that I was just being paranoid. I was like, it's probably just in your head. I was hanging out with Nick and Catchy and a couple other friends. And at some point, Nick was like, it's too fucking loud down here. Let's go upstairs. No one's upstairs. Let's just go, chill in a room and like talk where it's not so loud. And I was like, okay. So they, as a group, went upstairs first without me, but it took me a bit longer to get up there because someone like stopped me and was talking to me. And I did feel like, he was like standing pretty close to that person. I felt like he was watching me, but again, I thought I was just being paranoid. But I went upstairs. I was hanging out with Nick and Catchy and, our other friends. And then about 30 minutes later, the room that we're in, the door opens. It's Miz. He opens the door, makes eye contact with me, goes, ooh, and then closes the door and leaves. And I was like, what the fuck? But again, I was still trying my best.
Yeah, dude opens the door, was hoping it was just you, so everybody else and bounced, okay?
To, give the benefit of the doubt, like, maybe it's just like an awkward situation or something. But a couple months later, the person that he was hanging out with that night reached out to me privately and was apologizing. And I was like, why? And they're like, I just felt like I had to apologize to you because I felt so bad and so embarrassed of what was going on. Like, yes, he wanted to see what you were doing. He was saying, like, I want to go see what's upstairs, and he was checking every room. And then after he opened the room that you were in with Nick, he closed the door and started laughing. And then he just wanted to talk about, how you guys broke up for the next, like, however many hours of the night. So I was like, wow, okay, that's good to know, I guess. The next story that I want to tell involves what happened to me, Valkyrie, and Cinna earlier this year when we were attacked at the Santa Monica Pier because...
Oh, yeah, that was... Yeah, I remember seeing that. That was ridiculous. Have that guy following him like that. And nobody... These girls are like... damn near pleading for someone to help them, and people just stared at them. Yeah.
That was obviously... Hold on, let me close all these fucking texts. I don't want to look at them. They're still on my desktop. Where was I? Yeah, so, yeah, it happened March 3rd of this year. A lot of people were talking about how me, Ray, and Cinna were attacked. Which was not an issue. Like, we had no issue with that. Like, obviously, it's big news. People are going to talk about it. It should be talked about. We had, like, no issues with anyone talking about it and covering it, and that included him. I was fine with that. He joined in on that whole thing of people going live to talk about it. And again, I'd like to remind people at this point, we were already a couple months into me being no contact with him, making it clear I didn't want anything to do with him. And so during this stream, he was covering what happened to me, Ray, and Cinna. He decided that he was going to tell more of my personal stalker stories that I've never personally talked about or shared publicly myself. And one of these stories was one that, like, no one knew at all, and, like, it just felt so shitty because at the time that those things happened, like, all the people that lived in that area together, we all came together.
Yeah, which begs to differ for me. Why? I know why people tell things that are told to them in confidence. I still think it's shitty. Like, dude, she confided in you and said, hey, this is something that I don't like talking about, but I'm comfortable enough with you to broach these topics. And you kind of took advantage of that trust. Whether you're angry or not or whatever is really not an excuse to me. But from what we've seen so far as her messages and things like that, I mean, I would love to pretend to be surprised, but I'm not.
And we all kind of decided, and this was heavily pushed by him, we should never talk about this because, people are going to be weird. It puts Emmy in more danger and, gives people ideas. so we're never gonna talk about it. But, you know, of course, as soon as there's some big drama that he's not involved in, and he finds a way to, you know, bring up, oh, I was there for something that happened to Emmy, he does it. He was on a stream talking about these personal stories of mine, and I caught wind of it. And by the way, it was also so frustrating not saying anything at this time, because the way he told those stories, he kind of framed himself as, like, the hero. He was like, oh, I held the stalker at gunpoint. No. The only person who ever came into contact face-to-face with that stalker before the police came was Bonnie. Bonnie is the person who found that guy outside, went inside, told everyone, called the police. The police came. All Miz did was he stood far away from the front door, behind glass and metal, with a gun. Yeah, I mean, I understand. Still very scary, but why are you acting like you, like, if anyone deserves credit for that, it's Bonnie. Like, it's literally stolen valor. I'm so...
Oh, why? I mean, I know I'm asking this question a lot, like, why would you do X? Why would you do A or whatever? And I know the answer. It's because he's a piece of crap. At least from what I'm gathering so far, anyway, he's a piece of crap. But just, wow, okay.
So glad I finally get to say that, because she is the one who, like, kept everyone in those two houses safe, not him. Anyway, back to the original thing, the Ray and Senna stuff. So, I was obviously panicking. Like, I just had this horrible thing happen to me the night before. It was, like, huge, like, public, millions of people seeing it. And then my crazy ex-boyfriend is going live talking about more of my personal stuff. And, I'm, like, crying, and, Senna and Ray are like, what's wrong? And I tell them, and I'm, like, panicking. I'm like, I need to call so-and-so, I need to call so-and-so, I need to call so-and-so. Like, these different people that I was like, they can contact him, because I did not want to contact him. So, Ray, Senna.
Yeah, you can call so-and-so and so-and-so to tell him to shut the fuck up.
Some of me and Mrs. mutual business partners, and Asmongold, were all, messaging him to stop. And by the way, Asmongold told me that he tried to call Miz while he was talking, and it rang 3 times and then hung up, which means that he saw it, and he just wanted to be able to keep talking, because, yeah, anyway, just a little note. I don't know exactly what, like, the other people said to him, but Ray and Senna told me that they were messaging him being like, bro, like, stop, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? And he was messaging them, who were also equally as traumatized as me, of course. They had gone through the same thing. Oh, what am I doing wrong? I'm letting people know what, you know, girls go through.
Yeah, it's totally not my fault that things are weird and shit, and I'm just doing the best I can to help you out. Yeah, I call bullshit.
Was that your job? Well, anyway, yeah, that all happened a couple of months into me being no contact with him. And yeah, he was arguing with Ray and Senna while they're trying to be like, bro, like, stop, like, you're making it worse. He finished talking about my stuff and then reacted to Senna and Ray's whole stream where they were crying, addressing their communities, made sure to react to that, and then immediately went offline. So yeah, that was a terrible weekend. I got threatened to be stabbed, and then the next day, my weird ex was going live trying to self-insert.
That's gotta be fucked up. I count myself very lucky that I'm not a petite, little, attractive, tiny little girl, okay? I count myself very lucky in that, because you ladies, man, you gotta deal with some fucked up shit. You really do, and I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about the guys that do this shit. I really am. The majority of us guys, men anyway, are very sorry that this even remotely happens to you.
So that he could make sure to farm his own clips. After that incident, his attempts to talk to me only ramped up, which I showed those texts. We went back to Japan, and during that trip, he was texting and calling me, trying to call me quite a lot, begging me to take him back. And at the same time, I heard that he was reaching out to quite a few other streamers who know both of us, And he was crying to them about how he wanted to get back together and how he thought someday we would reconnect and eventually get married. I don't think
We would reconnect and eventually get married. Holy hell. I mean, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt here and going to assume that everything she's saying from her perspective is the absolute truth, okay? Now, as I said an hour ago or whatever, yeah, it does sound kind of rehearsed, but that's maybe just because she's reading off the paper. Another thing that does give me a little bit of hesitancy to believe everything is, well, one, the whole Me Too movement. It's not like that turned out really well for a lot of innocent guys. There were quite a few very innocent guys who were accused of very bad and nasty things that, one, either managed to, unfortunately, take their own lives. We don't talk about that because that's a bad side of that, right? Or two, tried and thankfully were not successful and were able to get the mental help they needed from being accused of being the nastiest people on the planet. So, yeah, and another part that gets me is I would imagine that if you're talking about things like this would be very emotional. And her eyes aren't even watering. Now, could that just be because she has basically rehearsed this a few times and has already got that emotion out? Probably, maybe, kind of, sort of. I mean, even with the notes, you'd probably want to rehearse that a little bit to kind of make sure you stayed on point. But I'm just speculating.
he even meant that, but I hope not. But I assume he did that with the hope that they would relay the messages back to me since I wasn't talking to him. And, I mean, some of them did. I also had a couple other streamers report to me that he would obsessively watch my stream and not in a like, oh, I wonder what Emmy's doing right now way, or like having my stream open. Like, he would be obsessively and attentively hate watching my stream, like watching my stream and just saying horrible things almost every time that I've been live this year. And they tell me that he would want to discuss how he believed I still wanted him. Interesting, considering I never replied. And he would ask other guys if they thought I had slept with anyone this year. They'd be like,
yes, because we as other guys, we totally know when the chick that you like, or I'm sorry, or obsessed with, we totally know if they're banging other dudes or not. Fucking.
I don't fucking know, man. And then they told me he would say stuff like, no, there's no way she's done that. She's not like that. And she's probably waiting for me. Just really fucking gross stuff like that. And a couple of streamers in LA also told me that he was telling people that me and him still talk all the time, but we simply weren't together anymore because I was too mature and I was not ready. I was too immature. But yeah, you can see from the messages I showed. I'm not sure if people can go back and read them. He was begging me to take him back for the majority of this year, which was 7 or 8 months total. And like I said, some of the messages were even, I believe, ChatGPT. Not that it really matters, it's just interesting, right? As of today, it's been about 2 months since he has attempted to contact me directly. I think because about 2 months ago was when he started kind of getting scared that I might have been telling people things, which again, I wasn't going on my way to do it, but if anyone ever asked me, I wasn't gonna lie to them. I mentioned this at the beginning before I started fully telling the story. I heard from my friends, other streamers, and my employees that he had cooked up a plot that if I ever tried to talk about him, about the abuse or anything else, he would try to go live and say that I killed my rabbits. And I was told that he approached several streamers who were around us a lot when we lived together and asked if they would basically back him up, and they refused.
See, okay. Another thing that just popped into my head too with the I'm going to accuse you of killing your rabbits. Couldn't she just turn around and say, "Yeah, I wondered why they were dying like that. It seemed like as soon as you came into the lives of those cute little adorable bunny rabbits, they seemed to be going away, dying. And well, now that everybody has at least my version of what happened, it looks like maybe you're the one who did it." I mean, it kind of rolls both ways. Horrible, disgusting either way. Don't do that shit.
Obviously, they're not insane. And even something happened this weekend at TwitchCon. One of my employees told me he went up to them and he threatened them, saying, "If Emmy ever tries to talk about me, I will destroy her." Whatever that means. And within the same night, he also texted one of my best friends, and he would have known that I would have been with this girl. He texted.
Okay, yes, I know. It's another generational thing. But if a dude acted this way when I was in this, around that age of the 20s or so, not only would basically his friends would have beat the piss out of him. His friends would have knocked some sense into him. One of somebody who is an actual friend to him would have knocked some sense into him. Am I saying is taking care of it in a violent way is good? No, I'm not. It's just how it would have been handled.
Her saying, "Hey, worried about her. Hope she's okay." You know, right after he just said to my employee and other people that he was going to try to destroy my life. Yeah, all in the same night. And,
the double standards of crazy.
Yeah, that was Saturday, so that pretty much leads us to today. Feel like it's clear I've spent the last year of my life cutting him off and building a new life with people that actually care about me and doing my best to move on peacefully without causing any drama. I did not want to do this. A lot of other creators actually told me that after his other allegations in 2022, if I wasn't the first person to stand up for him and start appearing on his channel again, they do not think that they would have gone back to helping him with his content. So I always tried to keep things private.
Is that Bat Derp? The pink cat sent me? Well, good. Pink cat is a good cat.
Always tried to make things better, had hope that things would get better, you know, tried to be supportive, and my thanks that I got for all of that was abuse and resentment, and for all of 2025, all of this year, harassment and hatred from him and his community, while he was the whole time secretly begging for me to take him back behind the scenes. I've taken a lot of steps already, as I said, it's apparent. I've taken a lot of steps to restructure my life and be a lot more careful about who I help and who I invest my time and my care into. And I'm doing a lot better now, but I felt like this was a necessary strain because, like I said at the very beginning, I have heard that he has done things to other people that aligned with some of my own experiences, so I felt like it would be wrong for me to keep holding on to all this information. I know I stayed for way too long, and I thought that I could help, and I unfortunately learned that I couldn't, but I worked really hard to have the life that I have now with my friends, my family, my pets, and my community, and I'm so grateful for how things are now. It was very difficult, but I'm very proud of myself for making the choices that I did to end up where I am now, and yeah, that's my story of dealing with abuse, psychological and domestic abuse, sexual assault, and stalking, and being threatened.
Now, definitely psychological abuse. But is psychological abuse domestic abuse? I'm going to say in her case, yes. I'm not 100% sure on that, really, in the long run. I'm, like I said before, I want to believe her. I've never seen anything, and I'm kind of out of that bubble world anyway, and I've never seen anything that made me go, huh, I think she's fibbing, but there's just a big but there for me. And she's shown plenty of receipts that show the verbal abuse, that show stalking, and things like that. So I think probably right now it's my brain doing the thing that most most of us innocent, not on the internet all the time people do, which is it can't really be that bad. People, things aren't that bad. It's not. It can't. There's no way that people can be that disgusting, right? Even though we see it every day, your brain just tries to push that shit out, for lack of a better word. I hope I'm making sense.
On if, I ever talked about it. And this whole time, it's been kind of hidden in plain sight away from hundreds of thousands of people. And, yeah. I know that me saying all of this probably isn't gonna make him or what's left of his community leave me alone. But sorry, voice crack. I know talking about this probably won't make him or sorry.
Yeah, she's getting toward her end here. She's a little nervous, and so that's understandable.
Probably won't make him or what remains of his community leave me alone, but I'm at least glad that people will be aware of all of this now, and I won't have to feel like I'm hiding a terrible dark secret anymore. And it's all out there now. And I also want to make it clear that not everyone that I interact with or that I'm friends with knew the extent of the things that were happening. And a lot of streamers didn't really know anything at all, but I mean, like I said before, people aren't stupid. I think it's pretty clear that a lot of people knew that things were happening, and like I said, you have to remember, it's not just me. A lot of people have told me that they have their own, grievances with him. But for the people who did.
Okay, but once again, though, even though if the majority of people didn't know, enough people knew and saw something going on and didn't say anything.
Did know about this. Thank you for being there for me through all of this and supporting me and cheering me on. And there were a lot of people as well who, even though they didn't know anything, without asking any questions, they still were very kind and supportive, and I will always remember that for the rest of my life. I also want to say, just so people know, that I'm not just trying to put this out there and then, I am already in the process of filing a restraining order on him in both Texas and California.
Which is something she probably should have done a while ago, but I'm glad to see this. So this dude, oh, I hate having a speech impediment. It's something she probably should have done months ago, but thankfully she's doing it now.
And I also wanted to say that I would not be surprised if he tries to sue me for the stream that I did today and for coming out about him. Not because he thinks that he would win, but for PR reasons, like a slap lawsuit. It'd be interesting if that happened, and I wouldn't be opposed to people finding out more of the truth and things that I didn't even talk about today, and what else he's been lying about. And I'm sure there's also plenty of things that even I don't know about. And yeah, there's more things that I didn't even talk about today, but I'm hoping that now that I have this out, this is the last time I ever have to talk about it, and I can be like, okay, I got it out there. I'm not withholding.
But unfortunately for Emmy here, this will not be the last time she has to talk about it, because I think she's opened up a little bit of a can of worms and people are going to keep asking. People are going to want to know what's going on, and they're within their right to. She's also within her right to tell them to bugger off, jump off a cliff, and drink a bag of piss. Okay? Not saying she's not. But I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Holding this anymore. It's out there. And, yeah. I guess that's, pretty much it. Definitely not how I would have liked to spend my Saturday. I would have loved to, go to karaoke with my friends. Or something like that instead. A lot of people like karaoke.
And there go all the motorcycles driving by my house.
Right, guys? Yeah, I think that's it. I'm probably gonna take some time off. I'm not sure. Like, I genuinely have no idea what the response to this all is gonna be like. I really just wanna, like I said, do my best to move on from this, because I've already been doing that for a year. Like I said, I feel like that's pretty clear. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for today. I asked my editor if he would put this on YouTube for if you guys want to look at, you know, any of the things that I shared today. But like I said, all of the streams that I referred to today are public. You can easily find them. And all the people that I mentioned today gave me permission to mention them. Except I think I mentioned Mr. B. Stoops, but I mean, he's not involved. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I never thought that I would be doing the stream, so it feels really weird to have done it, and it's over now.
Okay, so I don't think we need to watch the last minute of her battling like this. I'm gonna say, for the most part, I do think I believe her. The fact that, like, the Me Too movement did have some very negative effects on some innocent men does make me kind of push back a little bit. But the receipts that she's shown, as far as I can see, seem to be very legitimate and very, you know, not not a lie to me anyway. But let's see. I threw in Mizkif and Emiru here on the good old Twitter or X or whatever he wants to call it, and I really can't find. I was looking for, because I saw it yesterday. There was a video of him. Hey, there's that's Emiru. That's OKC or whatever his name is. That was about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes long, where he was saying, "Hey, I misread the situation, and I was wrong," or some shit like that. I didn't quite get to watch the entire thing because I had to run out my door and go to the job because I don't get paid to do this shit, obviously. So I'm probably not gonna be able to find it. Just okay, maybe this will do it. We'll check this here.
We broke up for about a month, then got back together because we thought we can make it work. We went to get food at BJ's, a common place where we would get food, and then we went back to her house. We cuddled for about 30 minutes and started to kiss.
Okay, this is definitely something he wrote down, which is good.
She said that she was okay with this on her stream, and I started to advance to the next stage because I thought that's what she wanted. She yelped, and I immediately sprung up and was scared if I did anything wrong, or did wrong in general. I got scared and left the house. I apologize if that made Emmy uncomfortable for me not saying sorry, and I wish I said sorry back then. But we got back together soon afterwards. And during those last few months where we were fighting, we were still fighting, but it did feel like the relationship had good progress. And we were both agreed we...
Okay, if you're still fighting, I mean, and I'm going from his perspective here. Now, from the way I'm understanding it, he probably thought they were in a relationship, and she was like, no, but timing, I guess.
We need to talk about our future.
But if you're fighting, probably not a good sign for your relationship. Most people in relationships aren't constantly fighting.
Sure. Since it's been 3 years, we should see what we want, and Emmy had an idea to write down everything we wanted on paper. I'm going to let everyone know that what I'm about to say is very true. This is exactly what happened, and she cannot argue this. One day, after staying over Emiru's house, Emiru made me breakfast, and she wrote down everything she wanted. She wrote she wants me to move closer to her. She wrote that she wants me to marry her, and she wants kids with me in the next 5 years. And I just looked at this letter that was staring in front of me, and I just handed her back the paper.
Dude, this guy, yeah, seriously, Better. Dude is majorly gaslighting them, folks. Gaslighting himself, and unfortunately, this is something I have seen so many guys do.
She began to cry, and I told her, I'm sorry, I just can't do this anymore. I knew we were just beyond the point of toxicity in the relationship, that our trust had completely died, and that we had so many issues that I couldn't deal with it, and I was not mentally well. I walked away. I went to...
You're not mentally well. Well, we could have guessed that.
Her door, and as I opened it, the last words I ever heard her say is, "Don't go. I love you."
Yeah. Somehow I... Pressing X to doubt on that one, dude. I've got my Xbox control. I've got my controller in my hand. And I'm pressing that button real hard. Okay, what else? Was there anything else down here? Mizkif explains how Emiru would neglect her. Oh, see, there's the rabbit thing. Is he actually going to talk about the rabbits?
Into the living room. Emiru has a lot of rabbits. It was her calling when she first moved in. These were a big part of her life. But as those rabbits moved out of her room and into the living room, they started to see disgusting neglect. No food, no water, sometimes not having clean bedding for weeks. I, along with many others who would come over, would give them what they needed, and I would tell her all the time to take care of them, but to no avail. She completely neglected those rabbits, so much that many of them just died over 1 year of being around in my house. My cleaning ladies would clean them just because they felt terrible, and my brother once came over and said, and I quote, "If you ever marry this woman, I'll never forgive you." Emiru.
I saw how many spams the 777 on. I'm just going to shut up for a second. Okay. If you've never had rabbits, I'm going to tell you a few things. Their cages. Get funky. Really quick. You can go every morning and clean that cage out if they're in cages, which they really shouldn't be. But you can go every morning, clean that cage out, and the next morning it will be equally as if not smelly, pissy, ammonia-smelly, gross nastiness, okay? That's just because rabbits are icky animals. They're adorable, they're cute, they're fluffy, and you can pet them and all that fun stuff, okay? But they're icky, nasty animals. They're literally the giant rats of the animal kingdom. They're giant tasty rats, but they're still giant rats of the animal kingdom. They're gross. So the cages being dirty, I'm not gonna push too much on that because they get dirty really quickly. The no water thing, what kind of waters did they have? Did they have the nipple waterers like they should? Were they putting water in a bowl in there Was they putting food in a bowl instead of a feeder like they should be doing? Was she overfeeding? Was she overfeeding? Things like that. There's a lot of variables here that I would have to see for myself. And I'm curious, though, if there's going to be anyone else that stands up with him and goes, oh, yeah, I totally saw them and they were gross. Probably not. Let's see here. Is there anything... self-harm? What? Can we... This might turn that up a little bit. Let's turn this back so I can hear it.
Huh? You said you could take me 7 times. You didn't listen to yourself. You're drunk and on cocaine. I tried to talk to you as a friend. You're treating me like shit. You figured I'd kill myself. And all you can say, fuck you. And all you do is say, fuck you. You treat me like shit. You said, come on. You pulled me out of the car. You said, let's go. Again? Huh? You said you could.
You make me want to kill myself? Dude! So I've seen kind of periphery-wise, like Mizkif being a fucktard, but holy hell, I wasn't really this aware how much of a fucktard the dude is. Or whatever. Yeah. That's a bit much. I think